Have you ever stopped to think about what makes a ghost story really scary? I mean, jump scares are one thing, but that deep, creeping dread, that's something else entirely. It's like a carefully crafted recipe, and today we're going to break down that recipe and see exactly what makes a scare tick.
So what are those key ingredients? How does a simple story manage to send shivers down our spine and keep us up at night? We're going to treat this almost like an investigation, dissecting a story piece by piece to understand its terrifying mechanics.
And the story we're putting under the microscope comes from the YouTube channel Thriller Teller. It's called Wrong Turn, and it's all about a lone driver on a road that has a pretty nasty reputation. Okay, let's dive in.
Right, so every great horror story has to start somewhere. There needs to be that one moment, that one decision that kicks the whole thing off. In this case, it all begins with a simple, alluring dare.
First, let's meet our protagonist, Jenna. The story makes it super clear, right from the get-go, who she is. She's an adventurer, a thrill seeker, and this is absolutely crucial. She's not just some random victim. Her own personality is the engine driving her straight into the danger zone. It makes her choices feel believable, even as you're probably yelling, "Don't do it!" And the dare itself? It's a classic for a reason. Drive alone on a creepy, deserted road with a terrifying reputation. It's such a simple premise, right? But that simplicity is genius. It's the perfect blank canvas for all the scary stuff that's about to get painted on it. Okay, so we've got our hero and we've got our dare. But how does the story actually start to build that feeling of fear? Because it doesn't just throw a ghost at you right away. No. It starts with atmosphere. And this is where the real artistry is. The story just layers on these powerful sensory details to make you feel completely and utterly isolated. You've got the moonless night, so the only light is from her own dim headlights. The road itself is desolate and winding. The woods aren't just woods, they're described as silent sentinels, like they're watching her. And the sound, the wind isn't just blowing, it's whispering eerie, ghostly sounds. It's an absolute masterclass in putting you right there in the car with her.
And then there's this, a perfect bit of foreshadowing. By mentioning the local legends about travelers who just vanished, the story plants this little seed of fear deep in your mind. It primes Jenna and us to expect the absolute worst. We're not just scared of a dark road anymore, we're scared of the history of this road.
All right, so the stage is set. The atmosphere is so thick you could cut it with a knife. And now the story introduces the first real hint that this isn't just a spooky road trip. Something is very, very wrong.
And it starts with the radio. Of course it does. This familiar piece of technology suddenly acts on its own, spitting out this distorted, hissing voice. It's a classic horror trope, because it violates the rules of the normal world. Her car, her one little bubble of safety, is no longer under her control. And then the story shifts from an external threat to an internal one. It starts playing the psychological game. Are those shadows at the edge of her vision real? Did that shape really dart across the road? Or is her mind, already jacked up on fear and folklore, just playing tricks on her? That uncertainty, that's a special kind of horror.
Okay, the psychological games are over. The tension has been cranked to its absolute limit. Now it's time for the story's climax, a direct, terrifying confrontation.
Now notice how this scare isn't just one big jump. It's built so carefully in these three little steps. First, there's the sudden reveal as Jenna rounds a sharp curve. Then, bam, the image appears in her headlights, a pale, ghostly figure. And then they layer on the chilling details, a young girl, the long wet hair, and those hollow, empty eyes. Each detail just makes the whole thing worse. And here it is, the big payoff. That figure in the road isn't random. It's the ghostly hitchhiker from the local legends we heard about earlier. All that foreshadowing comes full circle, basically confirming that, yep, all those scary stories were true, and Jenna's worst fears are now standing right in front of her.
And just when you think it can't possibly get any stranger, the radio crackles to life one more time with this deeply cryptic message. I think I've just one more mile to go, then it'll be all over. Whose voice is that? The ghost's? A past victim? The story doesn't tell us. It just adds this whole other layer of unsettling mystery to an already terrifying moment. So after that incredibly intense climax, how does the story wrap up? Well, here's the thing. The most terrifying part might be that it doesn't. Not really. And that's it. That's the final, chilling verdict on Jenna's fate. It's blunt, it's tragic, and it leaves everything completely unresolved. She just joins the ranks of all the other travelers from the legends, the ones who never came back. This technique is called an ambiguous ending. By refusing to give us the answers, the story forces our own minds to fill in the terrifying blanks. What exactly happened in that final mile? What did the ghost want? The storyteller just steps back and lets our own imagination take over. And let's be honest, our imaginations can conjure up things far worse than any writer could ever put on paper.
Which really leaves us with this final thought. You know, a story with a monster you can see might be scary for a moment. But a story that leaves you with unanswered questions, that can haunt you for a much, much longer time. Maybe the greatest fear isn't what we see, but what we're forced to imagine for ourselves.